What's up, guys? This is Jay from COI. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about what we could learn from the coronavirus so far. Now, I'm not going to go down the updates and the list. I'm sure so many of you could probably actually tell me more about it. I'm more of a political guy, and that's where I kind of that's where I spend my time. Um, I will say, if you haven't heard, we have, believe, 2 to 3 cases in America that have unknown origin, meaning these people did not contact anyone that had had the coronavirus and they have not traveled outside of the states. So that's something. Unfortunately, too, we also had our first death related to the coronavirus. It was I believe older, I couldn't tell you the age, but a woman in Oregon. But here's what I did want to talk about with the coronavirus is kind of a different take on what you're hearing. A lot of people are going to talk about how it's spreading, how it's a pandemic, it's an epidemic, it's this, it's that. I want to talk about something else that we can take away from it. As when faced with things like this, it is kind of the best to see how we can call an audible and we can move around and we can improve our own lives. Now, let's start with where we get the information about the coronavirus. On one side, we have arguably the worst administration ever for this kind of problem. The president has done nothing but cut funding for the programs that actually help with this kind of emergency. Um, he argues that we can just buy it all back. But that's not how it works. The research and development, the preparedness, all of that should have just been a constant machine. And to start that machine back up is going to take time and a lot more money. And that's only half of it. The president has also, as late as Friday, called the coronavirus a democratic hoax and claims that it's nothing, it's only out to hurt him. And of course, he would say that because he's literally insane. He believes that this is going to hurt the stock market, which is going to make him look bad. He's so off base, by the way, because yes, this is going to make him look bad, but not because of the stock market, because of healthcare. If this hits hard, all those people who Bernie Sanders and other progressives have been trying to rally and chant for, those people are going to have to go to the doctor. And they're not going to have the health care to pay for it. If there's not a story to tell you about, there's one in Florida where a young male thought he might had it, but he wasn't sure. He had traveled, so he went to the doctor, did not have health insurance. He got tested, did not have it, but the testing alone cost him $3,000 without insurance. So cases like that, and that's why this kind of thing is going to spread because people don't have insurance and they're not willing to sacrifice their family's future. Let's be honest, guys. $3,000 to a lot of families is a huge hit. Now, granted, that's just one situation in Florida, but we don't know how much it's going to cost. And are you really going to take that risk? Are you going to take time off work and then go get tested and who knows what it's going to cost? No, you're not. You're going to say, it's cold, I'll get better. And that's how this thing spreads. But I digress. Our information is coming from that administration who says it's a hoax, who has put Mike Pence in charge, who has, I would say, had done nothing but to catapult the strength of the coronavirus by cutting things in programs that could actually help fortify our country and stop the coronavirus from spreading, or at least to minimize it and to create uh, vaccines and to help people. So that's one side of where we get our information. The other side is the media. Yeah, this machine that actively spies on you, so it could then put ads in your YouTube videos, your Facebook videos, all of that. Do you think that machine is not going to lie to you about how severe this is so that they get more clicks and get you to also buy more shit? Of course they are. So, and not to mention the mainstream media outlets, your MSNBC, who spent 2 years on Russiagate, CNN, Fox News, who love stoking fear of their listeners, so they'll go back to them over and over again to add up the ad revenue. Do you really think those people are going to say, well, no, no, okay, with the coronavirus, we're not going to do this. We're going to tell these people the truth, and we're going to keep it minimalized. We're going to let them know to be cautious, but don't be scared. And it's okay to go outside. No, of course not. Because if they're going outside, they're not watching their show. Their their whole purpose is to keep you hooked to the TV. I heard some reporters, some media pundits, I should say, said that 9/11 was like a Christmas for them. And that's disturbing, by the way. That's incredibly disturbing. But that's the two places we take our information from. And I mean, don't even start by taking your information from Facebook or Twitter or somewhere like that, because there's, nothing like an uncredited person on social media to tell you that, well, vaccines don't do anything, the world's flat, and the coronavirus is going to kill you in 2 minutes. Yeah, I'd rather not take my information from them. But it's hard to take it from the administration or from mainstream media. This is a huge problem, because what if this was the big epidemic that could wipe out America? And we don't know who to believe, and we don't know what to trust. The credibility of the mainstream media is such that 62% of people who watch these shows and these channels, they say they don't have faith that they're telling them the full truth. And that 62% is right, because they're not. So many of them aren't. I've talked about it myself when learning about things like Venezuela, and then I go to the Gray Zone Project, who are actual journalists, and there's a completely different story behind it. The mainstream media has done nothing but are salesmen for big corporations. And when it comes to something serious like this, it begins to get very difficult to know who to trust. That's the first thing that I think we have to say we have a problem here. And I don't know how we fix this one. I really don't. Because you could take somebody who doesn't have the corporate interest, who doesn't have the, Wall Street interest in their back pocket, and all these other issues that they have to navigate through to tell you the truth. But as soon as they get big enough to where somebody should listen to them, then they'll have all those interests. So I really don't know how we fix this problem, but it is a huge problem. I know that there's people who are going to talk about fact checkers, but even them, most of them are also moneyed interests. I mean, income inequality and fixing that is going to help quite a bit, but outside of that, I'm not exactly sure what to do. Now, the other issue we have, and I think this one is becoming more and more apparent as well, we don't make anything in this country anymore. I promise you that China could commit the worst acts of atrocity to us, and we will not attack them. And I am not more positive of that thought than I am right now. Because the fact that China has been out of work for a while has really, really hurt our economy. Like I have said, I own a vapor store, and a lot of my hardware I can't get. It's out of stock completely. In every distributor I have, it's the same thing. I remember seeing a picture on Friday of the shipping yards in California. They were empty. It looked like it was disturbing. The N95 masks that I'm sure many of you are familiar with, they're out of stock everywhere. If you can find them, they're incredibly expensive, and you're paying way more than you should for them. We don't make anything in this country anymore, and that's a huge problem. Not to mention the fact that it hurts us at our economy, and manufacturing is the way many people make a lot of money. Um, I shouldn't say a lot of money. They make a decent living. They make a living wage. Not only that, but just the fact that when we outsource so much and we import, when something else happens to those other countries, it makes us as vulnerable as anything. I mean, we send our military to the Middle East to fight for democracy. Meanwhile, if something took out China, we're done. And really, think about it. I know it's not going to probably hit and scare a lot of people as much as it is if it does affect something like the big box stores like a Walmart. But believe me when I say I have the inside track to a lot of distributors, and they're all running out of product. And we're probably going to be fine. From everything I'm hearing, most of them are going back to work. But that doesn't change the fact that this is a problem that we have to assess and we have to deal with. Because yes, maybe most likely we'll get through this situation. And the coronavirus will be one of those things that we remember in a couple years and we say, God, remember when everyone was freaking out about that thing and it turned out to be nothing? It probably will be that. Now, granted, not for those people that die, and I'm not trying to downplay that, but things like SARS and MRSA and I can't remember H1N1. Those things were huge, quote unquote epidemics, and we were fine. And I think we're going to be the same, but I think we really do need to think about investing in manufacturing in this country. You see, the way I look at it, that's another way that we can really help with the income inequality issue. And yeah, it's going to cause us to have to spend a little bit more on products. But that's okay because people are making more money and we'll make more money. And the minimum wage being at $15 an hour, we'll be able to afford higher valued products and be made in America. And maybe the CEOs and the billionaires who own these companies maybe don't get $22 million bonuses every year. And maybe that actually goes to the workers. And we all have a more level playing field. And so if something attacks a different country, it doesn't affect us. Because, I don't know, it sounds crazy, but we are kind of taking care of America first. And the media outlets who are lying to you, they're not really going to be able to lie to you because moneyed interest doesn't matter as much as it used to. Because those billionaires don't make as much money off of you buying stupid stuff online. And let's be honest, most mainstream media and media outlet companies make their money off ad revenue from things like pharmaceuticals. And if we have Medicare for all, they won't be making that same money off of them. I'm not saying it's going to fix everything, but we have to start somewhere, and I don't really know where else we start. But I do think the two things that we can definitely take away from this situation are that when a president runs on bringing back manufacturing to this country, we need to hold him to it. It is as vitally as important as strengthening our military. It really is. And we as a whole have to discover what we're going to do about the mainstream media and a government that lies to us. Anyway, I'm really curious what you guys have to say and to think about the whole situation. And it's kind of just a different aspect about it. Um, I think sometimes when you think about the coronavirus, you just feel helpless and there's not much you can do. But this situation, I do think that there are things that we can learn from. Anyway, I'm curious what your thoughts are. Anyway, have a good night.